the other parts of the story that I learned, or that as we were trying to put it together, this incredible culinary team for the book, was that you studied in Spain from the elder women.
So I was very fortunate that part of at Cornell, I was Jose Andres, the famous chef, who is an incredible human being, and everything you've heard about him is 100% true. He is that guy.
That's amazing.
And I got to cook in his kitchens with him, and then eventually he recommended me for a scholarship to cook in Spain for a year, and lo and behold, I got in. And so I was one of only 12 people in the world.
Wow.
So got to go to Spain, cook at a bunch of famous restaurants. But my first chef who I trained with in Toledo, which is where they grow the saffron, and he looked at me one day, I was kind of slow, and he said, "Is there anything that you haven't seen in Spain that you want to do?" And I said, I have a background in butchery and charcuterie, and I would love to go to the countryside and learn how to do that there. And the next day he came in, he goes, "Okay, tomorrow you're getting on a train, and you're going to go to my friend Carlos Tristancho's place, and you're going to stay at he owns a 5-star resort. You're going to stay at the hotel, work in the one Michelin star restaurant." And I know you're just loving this. It's a good story. "And you're going to just wait to the part where we take care of the pigs. Don't worry."
You're a dog whisperer.
Exactly. And he said, every weekend we do the matanza, matanza is a very famous, it's like the party where they harvest a pig. It goes back millennia, but they'll basically, all the kind of the wealthier folk from Madrid take a helicopter out to Carlos's place. It's a big party. It's a weekend thing. And then we make chorizo. We do all the things with the pig that traditionally they would do.
Okay.
And it harkens back to these traditions in Spain when in poorer times before refrigeration, where you have what are called the sabias, which are the wise women. And they work with the matanceros, which are the butchers. And so they go from town to town, farm to farm, and they say, "Okay, hi, we're going to harvest your pig." And they get paid to, harvest 1 to however many pigs.
Okay.
And they break them down. The men are outside breaking them down. The women are inside. And the meat gets passed, and the women do they're called wise women for a reason. They carry all the recipes and the tricks and the secrets for making all the recipes, like the chorizos, the sausages, the braises, and all those sorts of things. And so I got to study with some of the last sabias and matanceros who works exclusively with this where I was, that every week they would come in, and, like 3 of the women are named Carmen and 3 of the men are named Jose, because that's just how it is. And I wrote about this, and I wrote a cookbook when I came back to America called Charcuteria, the Soul of Spain. It won a James Beard nomination. You can go on Amazon and buy it. And it was the first book that was ever written about this with photos, because they said, "Look, most people don't understand what we do, so we're a little nervous about you taking photos."
I wonder, or just about handing this treasure off to you.
It was an incredible honor that they said, "Look, we trust you.
Right.
You'll tell our story." And that's what my agent, my publisher were kind of laughing. Is like, my ugly face only shows up in that book like twice, because the book is not about me.
Right.
The book is about this tradition, these stories, these people, this history, and the fact that really no one's ever talked about it.
Interesting. And are they, when they were handing the wisdom down, because this is another thing that you and I have talked a bit about today, is that in our culture, we as women especially get older, we toss them aside. And it's horrible. And I really, actually, when you break down what happens to a female brain as she goes through menopause, our brain actually is the most productive in our postmenopausal years. And there's so much wisdom in the elder women, even
for
here.
men, it's the opposite.
Well, you said that. Not me.
Yeah.
But there's, in just general and culturally, there's so much wisdom that so many elders can give us. So I can't even, as you tell the story, I'm sort of envisioning, here you are, how old were you?
Oh, I was in my just barely 30s.
Yeah, so you're like a young whippersnapper.
Yeah, I'm a young dude. Oh, they made fun. Let me tell you something. Those sabias, they hazed me a little. They gave me a hard time. They're like, when you're making sausages, and it's a rather phallic exercise,
yes,
and you're not making them and they don't look right. Yeah, in Spanish and in English, you're going to hear about it in ways that are probably not appropriate to talk about. But then again, it's a party.
Yeah.
And, the other side of that, of course, is because, the women run the show over there, the sabias. And, if you don't work, you don't drink. They hold the liquor hostage.
Smart.
Uh-huh.
Is that actually a culinary thing? Like what if you drink while you're cooking?
I mean, this was not I wouldn't call this a professional kitchen per se. This was very much a party person,
Yeah.
but also, it's so, there's, I think Anthony Bourdain says it really well, is that, those of us who work in kitchens and restaurants, and there's this sort of pirate mentality of, these are the misfits who didn't necessarily work out for a 9-to-5 job, historically speaking. I mean, now you have people with architecture degrees, and all these, they'll go into kitchens.
Yeah.
So, but historically, those of us who've worked in kitchens, and it's just, we gravitate in that direction because it's less rules, less regulations, and in years gone by, you could do it with a drink in your hand.
Yeah, and it's creation. You're creating.
It is very much an artistic enterprise.
Yeah.